Hi, we're back with another Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous Companions build guide for unfair difficulty, and today we're going to cover Areshalae. If you are new to the series and don't know how we do our builds, they are all made for unfair difficulty and none of them exploit bugs, so they should all remain viable despite any bug fixes or patches made to the game. It's also worth mentioning that all my builds are tested from early to late levels. They are not made just for the sake of YouTube videos. I do them firstly for my own unfair playthroughs, and it's very important to me that they are actually effective at every level in the game, so I can actually get through with my playthroughs and not just remain the helm of theory crafting. Because this is a turn-based system, but the game is real time with pause, sometimes builds don't go as I'd expect them, and that's why I think the testing is important, so I can both bring you the best builds and actually be able to beat the game on unfair difficulty, which is my main goal. With all that out of the way, let's get to our builds. So, Areshalae. Again, just like Regio, we start with a build that is not very effective when we get it, though it's a build that makes a lot more sense than Regio's. It's not too fit intensive for the class chosen. It is a build that is much more manageable to improve. But, again, Alcat seems to hate Shatter Defenses and I don't understand why. I don't know the difference in AC between unfair, hard, or even core, but I do imagine that even on core and hard, Shatter Defenses might be a very important feat for your damage dealers, and Alcat doesn't put it on any of its builds. I really don't know why, so when we get her, she doesn't have Shatter Defenses and therefore we'll have a significantly lower chance to hit enemies than our other builds, which by this level should already all have Shatter Defenses. So here her starting feats are Point Blank Shot, good, Precise Shot, also good, Rapid Shot is also a nice choice, Deadly Aim, not so much. I'd much rather have Weapon Focus so we could start our path to Shatter Defenses. Then we have Many Shot, it's a good feat as well, and Clustered Shots, not the best. We can easily bypass enemy resistance by using things like a line weapon and some other spells, so if we had Dazzling Display here, this build would be much more solid. This way, as soon as we get her, I think I got her at level 8, just with one level up, I could already have her with Shatter Defenses, and yeah, it would be a much smoother ride, but that's not the choice Alcat made. Now let's see what we did after getting Areshalae at level 8. I know you can get her at different levels. At the end of the build, I'm going to talk about what you could do if you got her at level 10 or 15. But for us, we get her at level 8 and our first level up is going to be level 9. We're going to level up in Fighter Mutation Warrior for now. So at level 9 we get Weapon Focus Longbow, and as a bonus feat we get Dazzling Display. Then at level 10 we keep going for Mutation Warrior, get Shatter Defenses as a bonus feat. Now here we have Areshalae. Right after I got her, she's at level 9, Mythic rank 2, so I don't have Shatter Defenses yet, but I have here Scylla to tank for us, and let's see how her damage and chances to hit are after we get her. Especially against enemies not on her favorite enemy list, she's not that effective. You can see her damage doesn't even seem to tick the enemy's health, and her chances to hit are not the best. Would be considerably better with Shatter Defenses. They are not terrible as well, but her damage is the problem. Ranged damage dealers do have a big problem in ways to stack extra damage. We solved this in my Wendwag build by going into Inquisitor, but here it will take us quite a long time to get to Inquisitor to a point where she does decent damage. And yeah, that's why she ends up being not that effective right after you get her, and because we take so long to take down enemies, you can see what might happen to you. So I do recommend you wait some time before you start using Areshalae, just because her build is not the best to start with, and we do need to do some work before she starts being really effective. And we go for Mutation Water into 11 as well. Then we get our Mutagen, which is a +2 bonus to attack when you use Mutagen Dexterity. And also we get Snapshot at level 11. Then one more level in Mutation Water, so we can get 1 extra feat, and it's going to be Improved Snapshot. Now we are done with Mutation Water, and we go for Magus for the next 6 levels. So we finished Fighter at 12, 13 we start to go Magus, take Greater Snapshot as a feat. 14, there's no choice to be made. 15, we get a feat, we take Combat Reflexes, and we also get to choose a Magus Arcana. We took here Arcane Accuracy. This gives a bonus to our attack rolls equal to our intelligence. We have a very high intelligence with a modifier of +7, so this is a +7 to hit for us. Quite a strong option, that's why we take Arcane Accuracy. And we keep going Magus. At level 17 we get Seize the Moment and our main damage option for Magus, which is Arcane Weapon +2. This is going to allow us to use elemental effects in our weapons, and this is going to combo with the Elemental Barrage Mythic ability. We also get a choice of feat with Magus, and we take Improved Critical Longbow. And for our last level Magus, we get to choose another Arcana, and this is going to be Prescient Attack. This makes it so that you can hit enemies ignoring their dexterity bonus. It's almost like you had Shatter Defenses, but against any enemy. There are several enemies immune to Shaken and that are by proxy immune to Shatter Defenses, but with Prescient Attack you can ignore their dexterity all the same and have a much higher chance to hit. And our last levels are going to be into Espionage Expert. This way we get a higher bonus from Favored Enemy, which is going to stack well with our Instant Enemy spell. So our last 2 levels are going to be 19, we take Outflank and there's no choice in Ranger, and at 20 we get to choose Favorite Enemy. We take Demons of Strength, but could be Demons of Slaughter if you'd rather have that. But the important one is the third instance of Favorite Enemy, Demons of Magic. We also take Point Blank Master as a feat. Now in our Mythic paths there are several things we need to take. Our first options are not that impactful, our first picks, we are taking them just for value later on. But we start with Distracting Shot. This is a -1 AC at the point we get it. It's not amazing but also not bad by any means. We go for level 2 and take Rapid Shot Mythic. It's basically a +2 to attack for us. Then we take Expose Vulnerability for the extra damage. At level 4 we take Abundant Arcane Pool. By this time you should already have your first Arcana, the one that gives intelligence to attack, so you can use it a lot more often with Abundant Arcane Pool. At level 5 we take Elemental Barrage, Here we should be close to getting our Magus ability to enhance our weapons with elemental damage, so we can trigger elemental barrage with our regular hits without needing to cast spells. At level 6 we take improved critical, mythic, longbow. Level 7 we take ever ready. Level 8 we take deadly aim for extra damage. Level 9 we take last stand. It's a bit late, but I think last stand is never too late. Even the last areas, there are several enemies with AoE spells like Tsunami that can absolutely one-shot you on unfair difficulty, and last stand might save you a couple of reloads. And at level 10 we take Abundant Casting. This way we will have more casts of our instant enemy spell and also True Strike as our first level Magus spell. We have two spells lists in this character, one from Ranger, one from Magus. In the Ranger spell list we have some nice options. In first level, the best one for sure is Hurricane Bow. This increases our damage from 1d8 to 2d8 with our bow attacks. At level 2 we have Sense Vitals. Not the best spell, but is also an increase in damage. Is going to give you some sneak attack damage. At our level 20 I think it's 3d6 of damage, so not bad. Here, at level 3, we get our most important Ranger spell. In Instant Enemy, we have a +6 bonus against our favorite type of enemy, Demons of Magic, and with Instant Enemy we can make it so that the +6 apply to any enemy we cast the spell on, including boss enemies. Not only that, we also have the Ranger's Bond ability, which allows us to give half our favorite enemy bonus to our party members. So against any enemy we can cast Instant Enemy followed by Ranger's Bond to give our party members a +3 to attack against that enemy. Now for Magus spells, at first level we have our most important one, which is True Strike. We can cast a Magus spell and still attack, and by casting True Strike we can but guarantee that at least our first attack is going to hit. Our attacks do decent damage because of elemental barrage, so even hitting just one attack can be significant. But not only that, we also trigger distracting shots reliably this way, lowering enemy AC so that our melee damage dealers can have an easier time hitting. We also have a nice spell at level 0, with Acid Splash. This deals elemental damage and makes triggering elemental barrage even easier. So when you are not fighting enemies with high AC where you need True Strike, you can use Acid Splash and it increases your damage by a bit. At level 2 there's nothing too important, but Mirror Image can be nice. For equipments, I already covered some archery equipments in my Wandwag build, but we have some different options here for Areshalae. Some options that we already saw in Wandwag is Merciless Shot, a +1 bonus to attack when using point blank shot. We also have a classic archery item with lesser bracelets of archery. Here we have an amulet, backrank assistance, even more attacks, so more damage, great item for archers. In our head slot we have a headband of vast intelligence. This increases our bonus to intelligence and the effectiveness of our Magus Arcana, which gives our intelligence bonus to our attack. In belts we have just a belt of plus dexterity. It doesn't need to be a silence belt, but if you don't have anyone to wear a silence belt, she can do a good job with it. And for gloves we have gloves of the Resourceful Magus, which increases our arcane pool by 5. Our arcane pool has some very strong effects, so even just 5 points can make a big difference for us. And in weapons there are several great options for bows during the game, but I think Killing Piece might be one of the strongest, being able to add a plus 10 to damage if we have a mobility of 20, which I do recommend you have with this build, can be quite impactful. Now, as I promised, I'm going to talk about different build options for Areshalae, especially when you get her at different levels. You can get her at 8, 10 or 15. Even if you get her at level 8, there are different options you can go for. You can even go full ranger and she doesn't do too bad. The only problem is without the fighter, she will have a harder time getting the feats she needs to do better damage, especially shatter defenses, which might be the single most important one for regular fights, though it's not that useful against most bosses because they usually are immune to shaken. But still, without shatter defenses, your damage will be much lower than other party members in regular fights. So I do recommend any build you choose, take shatter defenses as your first feats, then if you still have some feats, go for the snapshot line into combat reflexes and take seize the moment and outflank if you still have enough feats left. This way you can do a lot of extra damage by getting attacks of opportunity and abusing the very powerful mythic ability Ever Ready. So let's talk about level 10. Level 10 doesn't change our build too much. You can do the exact same thing. You will just take a longer time to get to the point where you can trigger Elemental Barrage, which is what increases our damage the most. But you can follow almost the exact same build, not the exact same build, but almost the same build, just adapting some things depending on what feats Owlcat chooses for her when you get her at 10. And when we get her at level 15, we still have 5 levels, which is all we need to really be effective with the Magus build triggering Elemental Barrage. You won't get Prescient Attack, which is a great boost to our chances to hit, but you still have Arcane Accuracy, which is not that bad at all. So my recommendation for 15 is just go with the full 5 levels into Magus, and as feats you will only have a choice of 2, and I do believe getting extra Magus extra uses of your Magus pool is very useful, so probably this would be my feat choice for her at level 15. And yeah, you still will be effective against single enemies just like this build is supposed to. The only problem is by not having shatter defenses, you will struggle a lot more against regular fights to really do damage without using your Magus Arcanus. Now let's take a look at what high level combat looks like. Here, before we go in, I'm going to use Arcane Weapon Enhancement to give Flaming and Shock to our weapon. This way we do 2 types of element and every hit should trigger Elemental Barrage for 10d6 extra damage. We also have Social with Frightful Aspect to make enemies shaken and trigger our shatter defenses. We can here use Instant Enemy to increase our chances to hit by quite a lot, and now let's just see how much damage we do and how our chances to hit are. You can see our damage is not bad by any means, but the best part is our chances to hit. They are quite solid. Here we can see our attack. This is not full BAB, but you can see it's a 42. At full BAB it should be a 47. And the only buff we have is Heroism Greater. We can increase our attack quite easily. For instance, with Arcane Accuracy we get a +7 to attack, we get which is our intelligence bonus, and enemies can go down very quickly because of our high damage due to the triggers of Elemental Barrage. Here again we can do a lot of damage, use Arcane Accuracy to hit more reliably, and enemies don't last too long against us. Now let's see this one. This one has a high AC and can't be shaken. You can see a 57 AC, and this one can't be shaken, so we don't get to trigger Shatter Defenses, but we have Prescient Attack, which takes away enemies' bonus to AC. This way we can hit reliably even against enemies which are immune to shaken or similar effects. So even against bosses we can have very high chances to hit and do reliable damage. We even have True Strike in our Magus spells, so this way even if we have a very low chance to hit, at least with True Strike we can get some hits in. This way we trigger distracting shots, lowering enemy AC for our melee damage dealers, and melee damage dealers being able to hit, they can critical and trigger Seize the Moment or Outflank, so we get attacks of opportunity which have a higher chance to hit due to Ever Ready. So at the end of the day we have a lot of ways to increase our chances to hit, and we can very easily, without that many buffs, get our chances to hit to about 50. So this makes this build extremely powerful against bosses, especially because you can take away their dexterity bonus, even though most bosses are immune to shaken and therefore don't interact with Shatter Defenses. You can still just use Prescient Attack and hit very reliably even against enemies with extremely high AC. You can also use Instant Enemy. If the boss is not a favorite enemy of yours, you can just use Instant Enemy, and it can even give a 3 bonus to attack to your party by using Ranger's Bond after you use Instant Enemy. So not only you have a very nice chance to hit, high damage because of Elemental Barrage, you can also give a +3 to hit against any enemy to your companions, and you also of course trigger distracting shots for your melee damage dealers, and can do so very reliably because of your high chance to hit, Prescient Attack and Arcane Accuracy. You only have to manage how much you are going to spend of your arcane pool each fight. So keep in mind, after we spend our arcane pool, our damage does go down by quite a lot. So this is the only challenge of this build, managing your resources, but at the end of the day it's a very powerful build in my opinion. Elemental Barrage is kind of overpowered, I think, but since it doesn't seem to be bugged and it is in the game, we are using it. If they change it one day to be more balanced, maybe I will come back to this build and see if it requires any changes. But for now, I'd like to hear in the comments what do you think of Elemental Barrage. Do you think it's overpowered as well, or do you just like how it is and use it often? But that's it for this video, and until the next one, I hope you have a good time.